welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something that I know many of you listening have worked incredibly hard for, reaching that C1 level in English. Seriously, just take a second to appreciate that. It is a remarkable milestone.
It really is.
It shows such profound dedication, resilience to, and, well, real intellectual curiosity. You've battled the grammar, built the vocabulary, tuned your ear. That's huge.
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating, I think, is how English at this stage, it transforms. It stops being just a subject you study and becomes this powerful tool you actually wield.
Right.
The real insight isn't just, oh, I know English now. It's realizing how it fundamentally changes your agency in the world. It's not just a key for doors someone else built anymore.
It's more like architectural tools.
Exactly. Architectural tools. You get to design and build your own doors, your own life, really.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, then. We're exploring exactly that transformation.
Yes.
This isn't about, more grammar drills.
No, definitely not.
It's about how mastering English becomes this, well, ultimate catalyst for achieving real personal and professional sovereignty. We're going to unpack 4 key areas, 4 freedoms: intellectual freedom, financial independence, creative freedom, and then kind of the culmination, personal freedom.
And we'll use some powerful stories to illustrate these. Real people, real experiences.
Great. So let's start with that first one. Intellectual freedom. You've mastered the language, but how does that translate to mastering your own mind, breaking out of the echo chamber, as you put it?
Yeah, that's the first and maybe the most profound shift. The echo chamber idea is key.
I find that analogy really striking because living just in your native language, it's like you're in a room where the walls just reflect back what you already know or what your local environment tells you. Is it even possible to escape that if you only have one language?
Well, that's the core challenge, isn't it? Every language offers a unique lens on reality. It frames things differently. And mastering English, especially today, it's like being handed a master key.
A master key to what, exactly?
To the global library of human thought, basically. It gives you direct, unfiltered access to the vast majority of scientific research, financial news, tech innovation, diverse political thought, everything.
So you're not relying on translations, which might be delayed or biased.
Precisely. Or just missing nuance. The crucial thing here isn't just seeing a different picture, it's seeing the frame around the picture. English helps you recognize the filters you didn't even know existed in your native information sphere.
Like your information diet. That analogy works well, too. You wouldn't rely on just one doctor for your health, right?
Exactly. You'd get one perspective, potentially a very narrow one.
So understanding the world through just one country's media, it's inherently limiting. But when you can read, say, The Guardian, The New York Times, Al Jazeera English, The Straits Times, directly.
Then you start building a truly global perspective. You see the same event reported through completely different lenses with different assumptions, different priorities.
And that must be an incredible workout for critical thinking.
Oh, absolutely. You learn to spot subtle differences in framing. You see how facts are selected, how arguments are constructed. It forces you to weigh evidence, identify bias, your own included, and synthesize these multiple viewpoints. That synthesis. That's the core of intellectual sovereignty.
Let's make this concrete. Tell us about Elena.
Right, Elena. A sharp political science student in Moscow. Her view of the world was, let's say, heavily shaped by state-approved news, official narratives, the textbooks she used. Her C1 English was good, but mostly academic, theoretical.
Right.
Then a visiting professor from the UK gives this pretty radical assignment. For 1 month, no Russian news sources, 0.
Wow. Okay.
Their entire information intake had to be from a specific list of international English language outlets. The final paper. Analyze how one major global event was covered differently across at least 3 of these sources.
How did Elena react? That sounds like a shock to the system.
She said the first week was deeply disorienting, like stepping into an alternate reality. Narratives flipped, different things emphasized, assumptions completely alien. It created this profound cognitive dissonance.
I can imagine. Fight or flight, almost.
But she chose to lean in. Her English became her investigation tool. She wasn't just reading, she was deconstructing articles in the library. She started a critical thinking journal, noting tone, word choice, evidence used, what wasn't said.
Actively analyzing the frame.
Exactly. She started seeing the invisible frame around every story, as she put it.
And the result.
Her paper, apparently, was brilliant. A nuanced analysis of the Syrian conflict, synthesizing these competing narratives. She hadn't just done an assignment. She'd used English to break free from her lifelong echo chamber.
That's incredible.
And that critical thinking, that global perspective, it won her a scholarship to the London School of Economics. Her English didn't just get her an A, it literally gave her the freedom of her own mind.
What a powerful story. Okay, so that's the intellectual side. But you mentioned English changing how you live and earn. Let's talk financial independence.
Yeah, this is often the most tangible freedom for people. Earning a living on your own terms, not tied to just one local economy or employer.
And English is basically the key to that global marketplace now.
It's the undisputed language of the global economy, yeah. Like a passport to a borderless marketplace. And this opens up broadly 3 main paths to financial sovereignty that just weren't really possible before, not on this scale.
Okay, what are they?
First, the global freelancer. You know, platforms like Upwork, TopTal, Fiverr, they connect talent anywhere with clients everywhere.
So a designer in Argentina, a coder in Vietnam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a writer in Poland. They can compete for projects from New York, London, Sydney. What matters is their skill and, crucially, their ability to communicate professionally in English. Proposals, client calls, all that.
Makes sense. Path number 2.
The remote employee. The remote work revolution is real. Companies, especially in tech and other high-skill sectors, are hiring globally.
So you could earn a Silicon Valley salary while living somewhere with a much lower cost of living.
Potentially, yes. A solid C1 level makes you a credible candidate for those international jobs without having to relocate.
Okay. And the third path?
The digital entrepreneur. Think e-commerce, content creation, SaaS, software as a service. If you're building an online business, English gives you access to the biggest, wealthiest customer base on the planet.
But just being able to chat isn't enough for these, right? It's more than conversational fluency.
Oh, absolutely. You need to master specific dialects of professional English. The language of negotiation is different from marketing copy. Client management requires specific skills. Crafting that compelling professional identity online, that's all done through language.
Which brings us to Javier, the designer escaping economic gravity.
Right, Javier. Talented graphic designer in Buenos Aires. Loved his work, but felt completely stuck. Saturated local market, low fees, economic instability. He described it as being trapped by the economic gravity of his location.
He felt his C1 English was the way out.
It was his potential escape hatch. He started trying to freelance globally on one of those platforms, but his first few months, he called it a brutal failure.
Why? What went wrong?
He sent out dozens of proposals, even lowballing his rates sometimes.
Yay!
Crickets. He realized his design work was good, but his English proposals were the problem. They were grammatically okay, but totally generic. They didn't build trust, didn't communicate his value effectively.
So it wasn't the skill, but the selling of the skill.
Yeah.
That's a crucial distinction.
Exactly. So he did something really smart. He treated his English problem like a design project.
Hello.
He stopped just doing general English lessons. He created his own curriculum, the language of global freelancing. He studied the art of writing proposals, how to articulate value, solve client problems, not just list skills.
Okay.
He practiced client calls, role-playing scenarios, learning phrases for, say, pushing back politely or explaining creative choices clearly. And he rebuilt his online professional identity, positioning himself not as a cheap freelancer, but as a specialist, an expert in international branding.
Did it work?
His breakthrough came with a tech startup in Austin, Texas. His new proposal, which was focused and value-driven, landed him an interview. On the video call, he wasn't nervous or apologetic. He was confident, consultative.
He used his new language skills.
Totally. Led the conversation, asked smart questions about their long-term goals, built real rapport, and then he quoted a rate 3 times higher than his usual local rate.
Yeah.
They accepted it without hesitation. That one project became his catalyst. Great testimonial, more clients, more confidence. Within a year, he had this thriving international business. Working from Buenos Aires, he'd achieved like financial alchemy, turning local talent into global income.
That's fantastic. Okay, so English can reshape your thinking, reshape your earning potential. What about expressing yourself? Creative freedom.
Yeah, beyond the practical, there's this deeper freedom, isn't there? For artists, writers, musicians, filmmakers, the ultimate freedom is often bringing your unique vision to life and sharing it widely.
And English is the main channel for that globally.
It really is the primary conduit for global artistic exchange.
Yeah.
Think about it. Self-publishing on Amazon KDP, submitting to international film festivals, building a global audience on YouTube or Instagram.
Collaborating too, I guess.
Yeah.
A musician in Japan with a UK producer.
Exactly. Or that Polish filmmaker working with a Canadian screenwriter. It also opens doors to global resources, grants, residencies, competitions, most of which operate in English.
But this requires more than just being clear, right? It's about artistry in the language itself.
Absolutely. You're moving beyond clarity into, well, art. Mastering metaphor, rhythm, storytelling, hitting those emotional notes that resonate universally. That's a high-level skill.
Let's talk about Anya, the writer who translated her own soul.
Anya, yes. A celebrated novelist in Poland. Her books were acclaimed locally, dealt with Polish history, magical realism. But she felt this creative restlessness. She felt her stories were universal human stories, and she desperately wanted them read worldwide.
But she didn't want to use a translator.
She was worried, deeply worried, that a translator, no matter how skilled, would miss the specific cultural weight, the nuances embedded in the Polish language and history that were so crucial to her work. So she decided on this monumental, terrifying project to translate her latest novel into English herself.
Wow. So not just word for word, but recreating the feeling, the soul of it.
Precisely. And that process became her C1 to C2 crucible. It tested her English to its absolute limits and forged it into something even stronger, pushing her well into C2 territory. It was this intense act of cultural and artistic recreation. She agonized over how to convey, say, the historical resonance of a place name, or find an English idiom with the same ironic bite as a Polish one.
That sounds incredibly difficult. You mentioned the borscht example.
Yes, she wrote about spending 3 hours on one sentence about her grandmother's borscht. She said, "The English words are beetroot soup, but those words are dead. They have no soul. They don't taste of winter, of home, of a history of survival. How do I write the feeling?" That really captures the challenge, doesn't it? The gap between literal meaning and felt experience.
So how did she bridge that gap? How did she learn to write the feeling?
She immersed herself in writers who'd done it before, non-native English speakers who became masters. Joseph Conrad, also Polish, interestingly, Vladimir Nabokov. She didn't just read them, she deconstructed their prose, analyzed how they bent English to their will, how they conveyed their unique sensibilities within its structures.
And after all that work,
2 years later, she finished. She self-published the English ebook. It wasn't an instant bestseller, but it found its way. A book blogger in the UK loved it. Then a US literary journal picked it up. And finally, an agent who specialized in international fiction contacted her.
so she achieved her dream.
She did. Her stories were being read, discussed, felt by people across the globe. Translating her own work was agonizingly hard, but it gave her the ultimate creative freedom, sharing her soul with the world in her own words.
Incredible. So we have intellectual freedom, financial independence, creative freedom. What's the final piece? Where does this all lead?
It all culminates really in the fourth freedom, personal freedom.
Which is what exactly?
It's the freedom of choice, fundamentally. It's the confidence that comes from knowing you can navigate the world, build a life on your terms, largely independent of geography.
So the ability to move somewhere new and not just survive, but actually thrive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the ability to build genuine connections, friendships, professional networks across cultures. There's a kind of quiet, deep self-reliance that comes from knowing you have this tool, English, that lets you understand and be understood almost anywhere in the modern world.
And for someone listening who is at that C1 level, they've already built the tool.
Exactly. You've done the immense work. You've forged it, sharpened it, polished it. It's ready. The journey now isn't just about getting better at English. It's about using your English to get better at life, however you define that.
When you look back at Elena, Javier, Anya, their stories aren't just about language learning, are they?
Not at all. They're stories of self-liberation. They each used English as a lever, to pry open doors, pursue curiosities, build financial security, share their unique visions.
So your English, right now, if you're at that C1 level or near it, it's ready. It's ready for a mission.
It's waiting for a purpose. It really is the key to unlocking your own unique version of freedom.
Which leaves just one question, really. The one only you can answer. What will you do with it?